Now, it's been called Formula One's ultra-marathon season, the longest yet, and it is very nearly upon us. After what's been an eventful and unpredictable few weeks, the new cars are revving up for their competitive debuts ahead of the Bahrain Grand Prix this weekend. Practice is under 48 hours away. Once again, Max Verstappen is favourite to be world champion, but can anything stop a Red Bull's dominance? Patrick Gearey reports.
Pre-season testing, Max Verstappen's Red Bull is out on its own. As it was last season, as it may well be again, this car will likely be seen by most others in the sport only as a blur. Verstappen is the big favourite to win a fourth consecutive driver's title.
It's always going to be hard to try and replicate a year that we've had. But we always try to learn, try to grow. And that doesn't necessarily mean, winning the same amount of races. But I do think that it can be a very competitive car. And now it's up to us, to extract the most out of it.
Away from the sleek publicity of their car launch, this winter things have become more complicated for Red Bull. Their team principal, Christian Horner, is under investigation by his employer for alleged inappropriate behaviour towards a female colleague. He completely denies the allegations, but earlier this month admitted to the BBC that the situation is having an impact on his team.
I'm ongoing through a process and fully respect that process. So for me, it's business as normal. I'm focused on the season ahead, and of course it is a distraction for the team, but the team are very together.
At Mercedes, meanwhile, everything's changed.
Pretty big breaking news that Lewis Hamilton could make a shock move to Ferrari.
It's the biggest transfer story in Formula One for years, but Hamilton won't actually leave Mercedes for Ferrari until next season. Plenty of seat swapping could follow, but right now the challenge for those in charge is to manage their way through these in-between times.
Just looking forward, okay, what are we doing about communications? What's the timing? How do we protect the team best? And how do we protect this 2024 year to be successful together with our two drivers without causing too much awkwardness?
Rule changes also loom in the future, but still a fair way down the road. A record 24 Grand Prix lie ahead. The season will be a marathon. The sport could do with a race to the line. Patrick Gearey, BBC News.
Yeah, it's getting exciting. Or is it? With more on the new season ahead, I've been speaking to our Formula One correspondent, Jennie Gow.
For once, we had no driver movement from the end of last season to the beginning of this one. So we thought, oh, this should be a fairly easy off-season. However, things didn't stay that way. First of all, we had the Andretti bid turned down. Then we had Christian Horner with these accusations of inappropriate behaviour, which are being investigated by Red Bull. Still no outcome, but he denies it. Then we had Günther Steiner at Haas sacked. Leclerc and Norris signed long-term contracts just before it was announced that Hamilton was joining Ferrari. So Sainz is out of a seat, and we had 3 days of testing, which has thrown up even more things to puzzle over.
Jennie, not for the first time, we're going into a season where everyone is expecting Max Verstappen to win and saying it's going to be predictable again. What are your expectations?
Well, I think the obvious answer is to say yes, Max Verstappen has a clear advantage over everyone else. The field itself, the RB20, this year's car, they all look impressive. However, let me temper that by saying last year we saw some amazing racing. So yes, Max Verstappen won almost all of the races, 19 of them, but actually the racing itself was really good, really competitive. And the race at the back is even better. That midfield section has lots of drama in it. So don't write off the season quite yet.
The most intriguing battle then perhaps will happen behind Max Verstappen. You mentioned Lewis Hamilton there, the intrigue now about his final season with Mercedes and the ripples that has across the sport as well. This can still be an incredibly exciting season.
I think so. Ferrari seem to have stepped on from last year. They've obviously got this new team principal, Fred Vasseur, who joined them last year. So we'll see the ripple effect following this year. So looks good for Charles Leclerc and for Carlos Sainz, even though he's in his final year with the Ferrari squad. Have Mercedes managed to close that gap as well? That's a big question mark. They've all had a lot of time to look at these cars for this year and really dial down on what will make them faster, what will make them better. So they've got every opportunity to try and close that gap between them and Red Bull.